Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattva Bodho Bhidiyate. What is Atma now? Atma is Sakshi. Atma is the witness in reference to objects. It's just a name that we give. So we need not get confused with these names. You know, now you have Atma, now you have Sakshi. What else are you going to give us? So these are just names. Do not get caught up with them. It's just there to discern small, minute differences to help us out. And so when you feel this pressure of too many words coming in, remember, they're just models. Model is something just meant to help you understand. You let go of the model. The understanding is what matters. The essence is what matters. It's not the words, it's not the Sanskrit phrases, it's the essence that's what matters. Okay? So now, let's continue this inquiry of this Sakshi. So when I say Sakshi, which is the witness, am I making any distinction with Atma? Is there any distinction, real difference between Sakshi and Atma? No. So then why do we have two names now?
Because it can be, it can not only be Sakshi, but it can be also something else.
Good. Okay, now you're one step ahead of where we are. Good. So now, see, because we're at this early stage of the program, so now we want to relate to something that we all experience. And what do we all experience? Well, there's always this fella who is the, the witness of objects, and there are the objects. So now we stick with this beginner language. And so as we go through the program, we make these words more defined. So this is how the methodology works. So on one hand, we start out, Atma is the sleeper, the talker, the concerned, the one who is worried. And then at the end, right, we change this definition, we refine this definition slowly. So this has to be accounted also, okay? So what does any object of knowledge imply? So this is a plate. This is what we call this an object, okay? But now we use a specific term. We say this is an object of knowledge. Okay, object of knowledge. So why do we add this extra word of knowledge? Why is it necessary to say of knowledge? Because if you look at this object, yes, it's an object, but in your experience, what's now present? There is knowledge. There's a sense of there is knowledge of this plate. Now, what do I mean when I say knowledge? There is a knowing principle. There is a knowership. This plate has become known. It is known to me. So therefore, it's an object of what? Object of knowledge. So now, suppose you have hunger, and you say, hunger, what? Knowledge. You don't really have to say the word knowledge at all. You just say hunger. Me hungry, right? You don't say, ooh, me hunger, knowledge. You don't say this. But when you say hungry, what does it mean to say, I'm hungry? I'm hungry.
I know hunger.
Yeah, I know I'm hungry. So there's knowledge of hunger. Oh, me thirsty. There's knowledge of thirst. Oh, me intelligent. What? There is knowledge of intelligence taking place. Oh, me ignorant. What does this mean? There is knowledge of ignorance taking place. Oh, me happy. What does this mean? There is knowledge of happiness taking place. Me not so energized. There is knowledge of feeling not so energized. Me, on coffee. Now there's knowledge of being on coffee. Me going to sleep. What does this mean? There is knowledge of going to sleep. Okay? So now look at this. Am I talking about qualified knowledge? Now, what does this mean, qualified? Am I talking about information when I say, for example, cooking knowledge? When you go to a recipe, kind of there's books on the shelf, and you go, okay, oh, wow, I am in a huge, vast library of knowledge of cooking. Is this the kind of knowledge that I'm talking about? No. This is called information. Okay, this is called qualified knowledge. That means knowledge that is what? That is a subject matter. It's information. For example, we have what kind of topics? We have computer programming. So we have what? Computer programming books. And so we see the shelf of computer programming and we say, wow, my God, so much knowledge to digest. That is not the knowledge that we're talking about. So then what knowledge are we talking about when we say cup knowledge? Am I talking about what? Am I talking about what you knowing about how the cup is made, ceramic, and what temperature it underwent? Am I talking about that? So now when we say cup knowledge, what is this knowledge referring to? You said it? Awareness. Now we can bring this word awareness and consciousness finally. Because unfortunately, when we say knowledge of something, what's the first thing the mind goes to? Knowledge. Especially in the West, right? Knowledge, you know. Books. Yeah, exactly, books. So it's such a strong conditioning that now if I say, you know, object, okay, object knowledge, Andre knowledge, floor knowledge. Now you say, my God, that's kind of, I get it, but are you talking about what, you know, qualified knowledge, information knowledge? So now what do? We intentionally add 2 more words to negate falling prey for thinking that we're talking about information. And what are these 2 words? We say awareness. So now if I say what? Object. But now if I say object knowledge. But now what if I say, notice how you feel when I say object awareness. Object awareness. Awareness of object. Okay? Versus if I say knowledge of object. Knowledge of object, awareness of object, consciousness of object. Object, conscious of object. There is consciousness of this object. Versus knowledge of an object. You have a different feeling entirely. So now why do we add these 2 words? Because, you know, as I said, you need 3 words minimum to understand your truth. So if we just stick with knowledge, then what happens? Then we got a big problem. Then we're thinking, oh, so what? I need to discover, you know, I need to like look up information who I am. I need to look up information on things. So now the Veda has this backup plan. So it introduces 2 more words. Now, question is this. Is there anything that you can think of that is like awareness? That is like awareness. Can you think of anything that is like consciousness in this world? It is like consciousness. Oh, I get it. A video camera. A video camera is, you know, it's able to what? It's got sensors, it can see the views from the out, it can capture a light, it can respond to light. But that whole thought that you just gave me, what I thought awareness. So what? It's got nothing to do with what? Whatever you told me, there was just what? Contained within one big thought bubble. And what? In the presence of that one who is self-evident, in the presence of that one, there is what? Awareness of this object taking place. So can you think of anything of similar to consciousness? Just, you know, self-evident. Can you think of anything?
No. I only think of space, but it's not the same.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so now space, you know what, you know, who's, you know, I see this entire room, what, there's a distance between one wall and another wall. And now in reference to the distance between 2 sides, what do we attribute to that? We attribute another name form called space. So what is space? Nothing but what? Distance between 2 objects. So
no, not meaning that space, that's qualified space, but just space in general.
Yeah, I mean, you know, even space, you know what, you know, it still needs my presence, you know, for what? For space to, you know, take place, to, you know, space knowledge.
It's an object. It's also an object.
An object. See, we're having this conversation now, I think it's like space. You know, this whole from beginning to end, right? It took place, a thought, and now, you know, we're continuing about talking about something else. You know, the topics have changed. That same I is still here now, but that whole conversation about space, whether space was, you know, qualified or not, whatever the words were, that's gone. But now here we are on a new topic, right? And that one who is self-evident is still right here. So now what I'm talking about, is there anything like that self-evident one whose nature is what? Awareness, whose nature is constant, never-ending awareness. And what does this mean? Yeah, no, because no matter what you say, that word still depends on what? The self-evident one. So by definition, there's nothing like that one, okay? Except maybe a thought, but then a thought again, you know, it was only taking place because of your presence, okay? So what does this now mean? Who are you then? We established your nature, sort of. We have sort of established your nature, not completely. What do we know so far about this one who's evident? We don't even have to call him I. What have we established so far about them? Sakshi? Huh? Awareness. Now when I say awareness, what am I talking about? Is it just a word? Is it just a word? You understand when we say awareness? Awareness just means it's self-evident. You know, you're evident to yourself. It's evident that you're aware right now. When I say awareness, I'm just meaning, you know you are. No one needs to tell you that. It's so obvious that it's almost like, do I even need to tell you that? No. So in other words, the self-evident one, their nature, what is the knowledge principle, the principle in which objects pop up, and because they pop, what objects? What are these objects? Mithya objects pop up, and in their presence, what happens? Knowledge of this object takes place. Look at this. Here we have a substance called plastic. Now, this substance exists, and so does the form exist. In fact, you don't even have to say that the form exists. You just say that the substance exists, and automatically you're including all forms. But now imagine this substance, not only it enjoys existence, but suppose it also enjoys awareness. So just suppose, hypothetically speaking. So this means what? Whatever form this takes, whatever form takes place, this substance, which is also happens to be awareness, is going to be aware of itself taking on what? Form. Okay? Now suppose I am like this container. Oh, I am squished. Oh, I am back to my normal state. Oh no, I'm almost dead. I'm back to my normal state. So what? What's changing? What's constantly changing? Constantly changing the name and form. But what's the truth of this name and form? What's the nature of this name and form? The one who not only exists, do you exist? Do you exist?
Yes.
How do you know you exist? Because the nature of existence is what? The one that is self-evident, self-evidencing existence. You don't need to hypothesize that you exist. Existence is self-evidencing. So not only do I, as a container, as an apparent container, exist, but whatever form I seem to take place, who's conscious of that? That one who exists. What exists? What always exists? The substance. Now, this substance is what? Changing shape, changing form. And because the substance is also aware, it means what? It's always able to what? Be aware of whatever form is taking place. What form is taking place? The body is taking place, the changing place. The thoughts are changing, right? Your mind is changing. Everything's changing. But everything that we said, the body, the mind, the thoughts, the emotions, the whole thing exists. You understand? The mind exists, the body exists, the emotions exist, everything exists. But because existence also happens to be awareness, what does this mean? I, the existent one, am always aware of what? Existence seemingly undergoing modification. Why am I aware of that? Because whatever exists is also what? Aware. Now you're going to say to me, oh, I can throw an objection at that. A stone is not aware. You know, a stone exists, but a stone is not aware. How do we explain that? When we get to the subtle body, then we will answer this question. Okay? For now, I just want you to introduce you to this Sakshi, who whose nature is knowledge principle, in whose presence knowledge of anything takes place. What do you mean? Are you looking at me right now? How do you know? Because knowledge of your body is taking place in whom? In that one who is self-evident to themselves. In that one who is self-evident. And that's the experience for all of us. Right now, it is evident that these bodies are looking at over here, and it is evident from that standpoint that what? There's a body talking here, going about, its thing. So what's the commonality? It's evident to all of us that what's going on is what? Change after change after change after change after change after change. What's changing? Existence seems to changing. Existence is taking on shape. And who is that one that's evident to this existence? Existence is evident to existence. Existence is evident to existence. Who else is evident to existence than the one who exists? Do you exist? Because you exist, you are self-evident, self-evidence in existence. And in your presence, you're also able to what? You're also able to, in your presence, the knowledge principle, you're also able to report existence changing form non-stop. Weather existence, body existence, smile existence. Can you move on? Existence. What's next? Existence. When are we going to have a dinner? Existence. Are we sitting? Am I comfortable right now? Existence. My back is now straight. Existence. Looking here. Existence. The body is moving and shade and the lips are moving. Existence. Aware, 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 aware. Why? Because existence and awareness, they're actually not two different things. If they were two different things, look at this. How do you know you exist? Because you're aware that you exist. And why are you aware that you exist? Because you exist. So you cannot quite separate them. Questions?
But yes, there are things that don't know that they exist.
Yeah.
The container doesn't.
Yeah, so, now who doesn't know? The mind doesn't know because they're not within the range of my senses. If they were within the range of the senses, then they will be known. Just like, for example, I'll give you another example. An AD semiconductor, 500 AD, it was not known. It was not known. Does that matter that it's unknown? It will be known in the future to someone else who is self-evident to themselves. It's not known to this one who's self-evident to themselves. And even that, even whatever is unknown, I don't have to know about what is unknown. I just have to know one thing, it is unknown. And whatever is in that unknown, there are many things that are unknown right now. Think about 1,000 years from now, how many things are unknown? How many things are we yet to discover? Maybe we'll fly and, and so on. And in 1,000 years, what's going to happen? Those things will be known. To whom? To the self-evident one.
But during deep sleep, I'm also ignorant to myself.
Now deep sleep, we're going to come to deep sleep soon.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm also energy. I mean, I exist, yes. And I'm clay, I understand that. But I am also energy.
Energy.
Energy, yeah.
Yeah, now when you say...
Strong energy in this body.
Yeah, energy is just prana. We just call this prana. You can call this chi in, you know, in one tradition, you can call this prana. You know, energy is also what? Fluctuating. Sometimes I'm energized, sometimes I'm not energized. You know, sometimes I've got lots, sometimes I don't have. You know, when a person's sick, where's their energy gone? It's almost like just gone completely. So what's the difference? It's just like your body. The body is going through change. The energy is going through change. Your digestion is going through change. Your circulation is going through change. We go to a doctor and we say, oh, my circulation is not working. Please help me out. And what do? They give you physical medicine to modify your energy. So what are they doing? They're modifying a form. They're modifying a form. You understand? But in your presence, the whole thing, you know, your energy is evident, your body is evident, the whole thing is evident. Going to the doctor is evident. Coming back, my energy is restored. That becomes also evident.
But the energy only changes form. It doesn't disappear totally.
Yeah, so it does, because even in deep sleep, where's the question of energy? Where's the question of energy in deep sleep? There's no concept of deep sleep. You know, energy even requires your mind right now to speak about energy.
Well, gold plus energy makes a necklace, but it's also creativity. Gold plus energy plus creativity is necklace.
Ah. I'm not getting what you're saying.
We talked about necklace, and which is gold.
Yeah.
But it's more than gold.
Okay, so now you're analyzing the gold. Is this what you're saying?
I'm analyzing the necklace.
You're analyzing the necklace, which is made of the gold.
Yeah.
And then now you want to analyze the gold further.
No, I'm only analyzing the necklace.
Aha.
Which exists out of gold, which exists out of energy, my work to make it something,
Yeah.
and my creativity.
Yeah.
That's the necklace.
Yeah, okay. So the whole thing exists.
Okay.
That's the point, though. They all exist. They all enjoy existence.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on. Can we move on?
It's okay.
What's the question?
Okay, don't worry. It will cover. Look.
I'm here to learn something.
Yeah, don't worry. Don't worry. No, there's more coming. More coming. You're.
Maar je vertelt.
Dit is een vraag. Dit is een vraag.
Wat is de vraag?
Ik hoor dat gold, necklace is gold. Plus meer. And I'm talking about the meer. What is meer?
Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you what. Patience, because we've got a lot more to cover. Is this working? Oh, it stopped. So we began at 10, 12, 15.
No batteries.
Okay. So now in Vedanta, right, we have different means of knowledge. What is a means of knowledge? It is just there to help you to have an understanding. Simple, okay? Like mathematics is a means of knowledge for what? For calculating numbers. We have in Vedanta what's called imagery. What is imagery? Imagery is whereby you use an image of something that you don't know to get a concrete idea of something that you do know and contrast it with something that you don't know, just so that we can grasp something that we don't know. So what do? We create an imagery. For example, we have what? We have wave. We have what's called jiva. What is jiva? In Sanskrit, it just means a living being. That's it. So anything that's a living being is a jiva. So even a plant, is a plant a living being? Yes. Now, what's the definition of a living being? That's a question. Anything that responds to the environment, okay? Anything that has like a sunflower, you can watch it dance throughout the day, okay? So imagery, for example, we have what? The wave, is what? One jiva, and the entire ocean is God. So now, suppose you want to describe, to someone, what is the relationship between a jiva, a living being, and God. So what do? You bring in the teaching of the wave, and the ocean. Simple. You're not trying to use logic. Imagery is not used for logic. It's just used to make something abstract into concrete. Make an abstract idea into concrete idea. Okay? We also have, for example, another form of means of knowledge called inference. We know that inference and vyapti. What is inference? So, for example, I can say that, I know that you all have a great father, a great-great-grandfather. I guarantee you have a great-great-grandfather. How do you know, Andre? You've never met him? Well, you get the idea. If you would not be here if your great-great-grandfather did not exist. So I don't have to meet him, I don't have to know him. Just because you're here, logically I can trace back, that there was a man who gave birth to your parents and so on. Or, in science, they use this a lot. They will look at something like a tree and they will say what? Well, the tree took time to evolve. So now, if anything in this world takes time to evolve, what does this mean? That if one thing takes time to evolve, what does this mean? That everything in this world, at least within time, space, took time to evolve. So this means that I can just look at a tree and look at the different processes that it has to go through. Then I can infer that the entire world of plants underwent more or less some evolution in their growth. So now, so what is this? These are called tools to understand the reality. So now going back, when Vedanta mentions this, Sakshi, what is this Sakshi compared to? They say look at any object, proof of any object. Suppose it's a dark room right now. Listen, suppose there's a dark room, and how many objects are inside a dark room? Completely dark room. How many objects are there? No. I don't know. Show me. I need to see. Now, how will I see? I need to turn on the light. So now the light does what? It proves the presence, the existence of objects in the room. So by the light being turned on, I now can navigate intelligently in the world and get something done. So now when Vedanta uses imagery, what do they use? They say Sakshi is like light. They're like light. In other words, without Sakshi, without awareness, being like light, nothing in this world can get proven. Nothing can take place unless there is light. What kind of light? The light that is giving light to this experience. And who's giving light to this experience? Is it the physical light? No, because even if you turn on the light, and you turn off the physical light, that is still an object of knowledge known to to you, the one in whose presence even physical light is evidenced to be either present or absent. Okay, so now in the same way, this light, every object in the room needs the presence of light. You understand? It needs the presence of light to be proven. But light itself, does it need to be proven? Does something else need to shine on the light to prove the light? No. So there's only one principle that is self-evidencing, that is self-shining, and everything after it, in its presence, shines because of it. So in that same way, Vedanta says Sakshi, you are like light, and because that light is self-evidencing, it is the only principle that doesn't need to be given proof. No one needs to prove your existence. Your existence is self-proving unto itself. So now, to explain this further, what does Vedanta do? They share a technique called, in Sanskrit, Bhati, Anubhati. Bhati, maybe put these words down, Bhati and Anubhati. So take Bhati and Anubhati. So take, for example, the sun and the moon. Now, what happens with the sun? Sun is self-shining, right? Now, what does this mean? So, sun is bhati, that which shines, self-shining. Now, what is the moon? Moon, what? It requires the presence of the sun. So therefore, the moon shines after the sun. So therefore, this word anu means after. So Anubhati means shines after. So this means what? The moon is Anubhati and the sun is Bhati. Why is the sun Bhati? Because the sun doesn't need anything else to illumine itself. Therefore, in this example, sun is the final Bhati. Or is it perhaps correct to say that the sun does need something to validate its existence? Where is the sun without your physical eyes? So what does this mean now? You know, sun becomes what? Anubhati, and your physical eyes become Bhati, because they give validity to the sun. But now your eyes need what? Your sense perception needs what? Needs your mind. So therefore the eyes become, they shine after, so they become Anubhati, and your mind becomes Bhati, because your mind is giving what? It's giving a presence, possibility for the eyes to operate.
And the vision.
And the vision, yeah, and the hearing. But now, here's a question. Is your mind Bhati? Is the mind Bhati?
No.
If the mind was Bhati, then what would happen during deep sleep? You know, your mind would be shining. It would be like, here, enjoy, you know, suffer, right? But that's not the case. So in other words, what? Even the mind is what now? Anubhati, and that one who then later on in the waking state reports, my mind was not there. My life was not there. There was nothing in deep sleep. My concerns were not there. My worries were not there. My joys were not there. My children were not there. My business was not there. My parents were not there. My friends were not there. Vedanta was not there. Ignorance was not there either. Okay? Nothing was there. There was no error. There was no ignorance. Even the topic of whether I'm there or not, that was also gone. Okay? So what happens? That one who's able to ask all those questions belongs to what? The mind. But you know that there was no one who was asking that. There was no contemplation in your deep sleep. There was no thinking in your deep sleep. Meaning what? That means even the mind, what? In the waking state, what? Begins to be shunned because of whom? Because of you. In other words, now, so what? The mind is also what? Anubhati, and you, the self-evidencing one, become Bhati, the final Bhati who gives light to even your mind. So now, now they even use imagery, very beautiful imagery. They use like a vessel made out of clay, and inside that vessel is a candle. And that vessel has 5 apertures, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes. And what happens when an object crosses the path of one of those apertures through which light is shining? What happens? That object gets what? Illumined. That object gets illumined. Now, how many lights are inside that one single vessel? How many lights?
Wow.
1. But how many forms of light, hearing light, seeing light, that which gives awareness to objects? How many seem? How many does it seem? 5 different. So this means now what? When an object crosses the path of one of those apertures, what happens? That object gets illumined, depending on the quality of that object. If that object is a sound, then what? If the appropriate instrument through which the light is shining, if it illumines that sound, then what? There will be what? Light, the sound will be lit up. So what does this mean? The sound is an object. It's an object. It's still an object. It's a different kind of object. Because often when we say object, we what? Refer to what? Physical objects, like colors. But is this all an object is? Is hearing not an object also? Yeah, it's just a different, think about it, it's just a different kind of object. It's not kind of a concrete object, but it's kind of a melodious, it's got, it's got some sound there. It's still an object. So this object now what gets illumined. Now here's the real question. When this object gets illumined through one of the 5 apertures, does it cover the light? Does it cover the light? No. In fact, just because the object is illumined means what? The light is there. So now, do you need to get rid of your thoughts? Just because your thought is there means what? You are there. Never mind about the thought. Oh, you know, it's a thought, I don't know who I am. That's a thought. I don't know who I am. I'm not enlightened. I am enlightened. That's a thought. Just because a thought has become what? Available, it's evidenced, means what? Whoever that self-evident one is, has never left in the first place. Never mind what the thought contains. Thought about life, thought about what happened, thought what will happen. Just because there is what? Evidencing of a thought implies the presence of the self-evident light. Therefore what? You can never cover yourself. So now where's the question of going, I am, you know what, I am, I don't know who, I'm lost, I don't know who I am. This is, you understand? Just because that thought is taking place implies what? You never left. You are surviving throughout the entire thought. You are there throughout the entire thought. Therefore, you are what? You are the Bhati, and thought becomes Anubhati. What about this waking state? Bhati or Anubhati? This state right now? Anubhati. What about the dream state? Anubhati. What about the deep sleep state? Anubhati. Why? Why? Tell me why. Why is it Anubhati? That's what I'm more interested in. Huh? It comes and goes. In other words, they were all what? See, if one state was, you know, so what? In fact, let's go into deep sleep. I think we'll get onto deep sleep soon, and I'll talk about this logic. So before I talk about this comes and goes, what's the purpose of this analysis? This is the more important question. What is the purpose of this analysis? To what? You know, intellectual gymnastics? No.
To establish the reality or unreality of the world.
To establish the reality of Bhati, who is the shining one, who is there all the time. Okay? To establish that you are Bhati, you are present to what? To all 3 states. And all 3 states, in the presence of the Bhati, what? They shine after. All 3 states shine after. So now the verse continues and it says what? Avastha traya sakshi. Avastha traya sakshi. So now, you know what the word sakshi is? Yeah, because we talked about it. So now it says avastha traya. So what? Atma is the invariable throughout the 3 states. Avastha traya. Traya means 3. So Atma, you are the invariable throughout the 3 states. And so in other words, what? You are neither of the 3 states, which is why they use another word. Don't get confused with these words. What other word did they use related to these states? They use the word what? Turiya. Turiya. Fourth. Now, why do they? Because fourth, prativyam, this is just Sanskrit. First, second, third, fourth. So now, why do they use fourth? Is it why? Because it doesn't mean it's fourth. It's other than the 3. If there were 5 states, then Atma will be called 6th. It means it's other than the 5. If there were 10 states, then Atma will be called what? 11th. That means it's other than the 10. So this means when it says fourth, it means what? That waker, dreamer, and sleeper, right? They all, right? All these 3 states depend on whom? They depend on the fourth. They depend on that one who is other than the 3. Does this make sense? To know about 3, you have to be other than the 3. Is this clear?
Yes.
To know about 5, you have to be other than the 5. To know about objects, you have to be other than the object. It's just simple logic here. Okay. Yeah. And then, you know, like actor, right? 3 actors, 1 actor and 3 different, you know, one of them is called Mr. Waker, Mr. Dreamer, Mr. Sleeper, and they acting and showing different kind of personalities on the stage, right? But all 3 of them depend on one single actor, okay? So in this case, the actor can be called Mr. Turiya, Mr. Turiya. In fact, I know someone called Turiya, okay? So this is the idea. And also, now, common objection is, yeah, but what about yoga nidra? You know, in that state where you're sort of, you know, half asleep, half awake. Where are you asking that question? What about this state? What about yoga nidra? In what state are you asking that question? In the waking. So no matter what question you try to dispute me, you're still saying that in only one of the 3 states. So automatically the whole thing is invalidated. So this means what? Atma is not a special occasion. If Atma was a special occasion, that means what? Atma is anitya. So in other words, so this means you will never, what? You will never be enlightened. You will never be enlightened because this is just a mere thought. You know, I am now this, I am now that. That is just a mere thought that what begins in time. You know, I want this thought, I want to what? Believe this thought in the future. Okay, but you know what? I'm aware of my desire now, and I'm still going to be there in the future, enjoying what? When that belief becomes true one fine day. What's changed? The thought right now, the desire right now, and you know, the feeling of having attained that in the future. That's changed. That's all anityam, because they what? They began in time and they ended. But what's there throughout the whole entire ordeal? You know, the self-evidencing one, the self-evident one who was once upon a time concerned about this whole moksha business, and that self-evidencing one is still there very much, still evidencing whatever thoughts are taking place in the future when the rainbows are shining and the moon is, you know, fully lit and everything seems to be okay. So in other words, you, the self-evidencing one, have not been touched at all. The only thing that's changed is what? Experience, mind, maturity, insights. You understand? But the self-evidencing one was there throughout the whole thing from beginning to end. So this means what? The Bhati, right? And every other thought becomes Anubhati, including these funny thoughts of, you know, attainment of this or that, being some person. These are all just Anubhatis. They depend on you, the light, to shine, to illumine them. Yeah. Now what's the time? Oh, 12:15. Okay, we got, yeah, we're good. Okay, so let's talk about Satchidananda Swarupaha. Satchidananda Swarupaha. So now let's explain this Sat and Chit and Ananda. So now, see, let's talk about the direct definition of Atma, like the minimum words you need to understand yourself, who you are, the minimum words, which is what? 3 words. So now, what do we say about Sakshi or Atma? What do we say about Sakshi or Atma? It's that one who lights up experience, is lighting up this experience right now. And so in other words, what? You know, and in the presence of that, you know, you're called what? The witness. You're called the witness. Now, the nature of this one that lights up, we also established is what? Because lighting up is just imagery, but the nature of this one that lights up, even the thought of this discussion, the nature of that one is awareness. Because we introduced 2 new words, awareness or consciousness. Is there any real difference between them? No, in Vedanta they're used interchangeably. You can use consciousness, you can use awareness. And now, so what? Now this awareness, this consciousness, it lights up what? Let's just look at this experience right now. This experience is taking place. You know, this is an experience, it's taking place. Okay, now why? Because this experience is lit up by what? Your 5 senses, 5 organs of perception. Okay, ears and eyes, mainly. But what's lighting up your senses? Your mind, because all of that data is coming where? Into one central processing unit. Now, what's lighting up your mind? You are. So whoever, you don't even have to say I am. Whoever that one is that's lighting up my mind, that one is lighting up my mind, you know. Like someone's lighting up my mind, something's lighting up my mind. I don't care who that something or what that something is. That's none of my business. That's none of my business to define it. Whatever is illuminating the mind, that one is illuminating the mind. Okay? So what does this mean? So what? Awareness, you know, this Chit illumines the mind illumines the senses illumine the world. Therefore, the only way the mind can come in contact with the world is through the senses. Where's the world if you don't have the senses? Where's the world if there's no mind? Because the senses depend on the mind. So, simple. So far we have established what? Atma is awareness, Chit. So this word, Sat Chit, is what? Awareness, consciousness. So we have covered the word Chit, okay? The one that illumines, the one that lights up, the one in whose presence things are what? They are lit up. The knowledge takes place. Now this Sat, this Chit, this awareness, what is the nature of this awareness? It is Sat. What does this mean? It means that this, what do we say about Satya Mithya? That which is dependent and independent. So this means this awareness is the final independent principle. That means awareness doesn't depend on anything else. It is what? It is the final independent. It is self-validating, self-evidencing. Therefore, it is Satyam. Okay? So now, awareness is Satyam, meaning what? So awareness is Sat. So you, awareness, you Chit, what's your nature? You are Sat. Why are you Sat, please? Tell me.
Because I am.
Good. Now, the word I am, let's analyze this word I am. Let me just bring in Sat. Okay. So I want to get to that. So now, awareness is Sat. Okay. Now, why is it Sat? Because your existence, your awareness doesn't depend on anything. Your awareness doesn't depend on anything. You understand? So it's not like they're two different things. It's not like awareness and existence are two different things. Your awareness does not depend on anyone else. You are self-aware. No one's supplying you awareness. So therefore, what? Awareness is self-evidencing. This self-evidencing is what we refer to as Sat. It doesn't depend. Sat also means what? We said Nitya Vastu Ekam Brahma Tadvyatiriktam Sarvam Anityam. We said that this Nityam is what? Permanent. Okay, it obtains in 3 periods of time. So what does this mean? You are always what? You're always available to any moment of time. In other words, what? If you were subject to time, that means what? Your awareness would be subject to time. Now tell me this, if your awareness was subject to time, what would that look like? You would have aging awareness. You would have an awareness with wrinkles. Now, can you for a moment postulate, what is it? So imagine this, right? You're born and your awareness is now what, 60, 70, 30 years old. So how do you even like tell me suppose I ask you, okay, your awareness has aged. What does that feel like? Oh, you don't understand. I am much slower. I think much slower. But is that you're aware of that thought? You understand? That's just a product of your mind. You're still aware of that thought. Once upon a time, I was aware that my mind was very quick, and now what? I'm aware that my mind is not so quick. So the awareness has not wrinkled or aged. What has aged? The instrument which processes data. We call that the mind. So has your awareness aged? Can anyone say that? Does someone wants to challenge the statement? My awareness is old. So what? Now, okay, if your awareness is old, then technically we say that, this means you should be very wise. So this means you should not make a statement like that. Because a wise person wouldn't say that, my awareness is old. Okay, what is old awareness? Okay, what's the difference between young awareness and old awareness? Let's just role play. Oh, young awareness is... Huh?
Good job. Old awareness.
Yeah, but let's just role play, young awareness and old awareness. Okay, what shall we give to young awareness? How about they are enthusiastic, they're innocent. Young awareness is innocent. Old awareness is what? What should we say?
Wise.
Huh?
Wise.
Wise. Okay. So we got innocent awareness and wise awareness, and wise. Now, these words, innocent and wise, where did you learn this? What are they? They're made up of English words. So this means what? You're only saying these words because you learned English. But once upon a time, I did not even know English. So in other words, you can only answer on the basis of having learned the English language, which at some point you did not know. So this means whatever you say about awareness is what? An attribute picked up from the world. Once upon a time, I have seen this attribute, and now I'm saying what? Yeah, I was young. But young is a concept. Young is a concept that you just picked up once upon a time. Oh, my awareness is old. Yeah, but old is just a concept that you didn't know what old or young meant once upon a time. Suppose I say to you, my awareness is different from your awareness. Did you know that? My awareness is different from your awareness.
No.
Is it?
You're talking about the mind.
Yeah. Okay, now, but suppose someone says, how do you prove that your awareness right now, right? I know you're aware, right? Now, how do you prove right now that Andre's awareness is exactly the same as the one who is aware right now? How do you prove that? No, you have to prove it, because this is an inquiry. We're not going to let go of this question. We need to prove that your awareness, the one that's looking through these eyes, I tell you, is exactly the one that's looking through these eyes. How do we prove that right now?
Self-evidence, self-awareness is a medium, so it's non-change. So
Yeah.
everything change is as a thought and mind, and non-change is self. Therefore, self-awareness cannot be different between you and I.
Okay, if I'm now in Sankhya, I will instantly dispute this and say, we have pockets of awareness. So my pocket of awareness is localized to Andre. Your pocket of awareness is localized to you. Okay, so now this means our awareness is not the same. Okay, it's different. We just have pockets of awareness. So now in Advaita, how would you dispute this statement? Because it's a common, intellectual kind of debate. And
It is an object.
it's an object. Okay, now, huh?
Your awareness, my awareness, they don't exist.
Okay, look at this. There's three ways to prove this. I'll do two ways later on. I'll give you one now. The only way, huh?
Existence is permanent. Everything is not permanent is not existence.
That's true, but still you can say, that's relative to objects, not relative to awareness. That's, impermanent. You can say that my consciousness is permanent and your consciousness is permanent, but everything else is impermanent. Understand? So I can even dispute that right now. So how do we prove that your awareness right now is exactly the same as my awareness right now? There's several ways. I'll give you one now. The only way that you can say that your awareness is different from my awareness is if you what? Give your awareness an attribute. An attribute. Like my awareness is blue. My awareness is yellow. And then again, we go back to the same circle. Yeah, but these are just what? These are just attributes, concepts picked up in the world which existed not at some point when I was a young person. So the only way you can say that they are different is if you're referring to objects, and you said objects, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So this means what? This means what? Awareness is exactly the same. Because if I say my awareness is different from your awareness, then instantly you're going to ask me what? Okay, how is it different? Right? How is it different? Well, it's wiser. It's wiser. Yeah, but Andre, that's just we're exactly the same people in deep sleep. I am neither wise, you're neither wise, I am neither stupid, no, you're stupid. We're exactly the same in deep sleep. In deep sleep, what happens? The beggar and the king are exactly the same. Their roles are gone. There's no question of what? One identifying with so-called wise awareness and one identifying with what? A dull awareness. They're exactly the same. So the role is gone. The mind is gone. Therefore what? We are exactly the same in deep sleep. Because that one, the mind, which assigns attributes, is gone. How do you prove that awareness is exactly the same? The fact that if you attribute awareness anything, that anything belongs to the mind. Therefore, what? Both of our awarenesses is what we call Shuddham Chaitanya, pure awareness, without any attributes. That's one way to prove. There are two more ways to prove, which we will reveal later. Okay? Now, speaking of time, we have a couple of minutes. So, let's analyze time. What is time? Because to understand yourself, you need to understand time. When yesterday was, what was yesterday, from the standpoint of yesterday, was what? Present. You understand? If I say yesterday right now, when am I saying that? I'm saying that in the present. So no matter what I say about yesterday, it has no bearing. What really matters, it's only depending on what? This present for me to say yesterday. When tomorrow comes, it's going to be what? Present. It's going to be present. So now, suppose, you have a scientist who's now postulating time, what is time, formulas of time and all this. When is all this postulation happening? It's happening, what? Right now. So this means what? In other words, in order to understand time, you have to understand what? The present. Because we just established that whatever yesterday I think about is happening right now. Whatever tomorrow I postulate about, it's happening right now. So now the next question that arises is, then what is the nature of the present? You understand this? So now, to understand time, we need to understand the present. Right now I look at this watch and I say, in 15 minutes, we're going to finish this. But what bearing does that have? Other than the moment when I'm saying this. I'm saying this right now. So whatever I say about 15 minutes is what? It's just what? An idea. It's just an idea of what's going to happen. But where is this taking place? It's taking place right now. So again, the question is, what is this right now? What is this time that we call right now? Right now, this is time, okay? Or is it? We don't know. Right now, we're experiencing a sense of time. So now let's analyze this. Now look at this. If you say the word time, How many units does time have? You can take, for example, what? Millennium. A millennium is made up of 1,000 years. Okay, so now we will have what? A century. Let's see if maybe time is a century. Okay, so century now is made up of what? Let's say decades. Okay, no problem. Time is 1 decade. Okay, so, but what's a decade made out of? Well, it's made up of 1 year. Okay, we'll take 1 year now. Okay, oh, okay, so now time is 1 year. Well, what's 1 year made of? Well, it's made up of, let's say, a day. Okay, now, okay, so time is a day. Well, what's a day made out of? A day is made up of an hour. So now, maybe time is this hour. Maybe the hour is time. Well, what's hour made up of? Well, it's made up of what? A minute. Okay, well, maybe time is a minute. Okay, so now what's a minute made out of? It's made up of seconds. So maybe time is this second right now. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Maybe this is what time is. Okay, now what's second made up of? Well, a second is made up of milliseconds. Well, maybe time is milliseconds. Okay, so maybe now look at milliseconds. What's a millisecond made out of? Picosecond. Now, tell me this. How much longer do we need to keep reducing time to arrive to the present?
Infinitely.
Infinitely. So, meaning what? Now, in other words, you will never arrive to the present. And yet, we know there is a present. So, if time cannot be the present, then what is the present? That one who is inquiring about time, who is going, oh, this is reducible, this is reducible, this is reducible, this is reducible. So now, what is the true present? What is the true present then? Yeah, you, the one that's aware of the present, the one that's aware. And when I say aware of the present, it's not like you're aware of the present, you're aware of yourself being the present in whom the inquiry of time is taking place, in whom the sense of time or the thought of time is taking place. So now when they say, oh, come back to the present, this is ridiculous because how can you come back to something which is what? Just a mere thought. If I say present, that took how many, half a second to say present. That's already, by the time I said P, that's already gone. But what was there from the moment I said P until I said present? What was there all throughout that entire word? The true present, observing this body saying present. So what's the only present? The present is the one who is self-evident to the concept of time, to the concept of what's taking place. Okay, so now again, what is time? What is time? It is not length-based. Time is not length-based because then I asked the question, okay, based on what length is time? And again, you analyze it, you cannot come to the present moment, no matter how much you analyze it. In fact, I don't need to come to the present because the present is myself, and in myself, because of myself, this analysis can take place. So now, if you think about time, and I say, for example, in 10 minutes, we're going to end this class, but what bearing does that have? Why? So what does this mean? This 10 minutes idea depends upon whom? Depends on that one who is present to recognize, in whose presence the knowledge of these words is taking place. And who's that one? You are the one that's present. So now, this means you cannot come to the present ever, because to be in the present is, number one, ridiculous, and number two, when are you not in the present? In fact, to even think about wanting to be in the present is only taking place because you are already present, and in your presence, a thought of wanting to be present is taking place. I want to be present. Yeah, so that thought is taking place in where? In the present. So now, why would you want to be present if you're already present to wanting to be present? So it's a ridiculous, idea. So it's an understanding that the whole time is dependent upon whom? Is dependent upon you. Okay, dependent upon that one who is truly, truly present. Okay? So now we have what? Even, sleep, no time, we have dream, time changes, okay? We have no time, time changes. It doesn't really matter. These are all concepts, but these concepts, these analyses are happening where? In the true present right now. So there's no point analyzing time because you already now know what time is. It's just a concept, appearing in into that one who is self-evident. Self-evident for what to take place, self-evident for inquiry of time to take place. Okay, so we're still on this Chit concept. Chit? I just want you to think about the implications of this time, because when we say, once upon a time or one day in the future, I will be enlightened. Look at this. Right now, you're present. Once in the future, that same presence will be there. What does this mean? Enlightenment, I tell you, is impossible. You understand? It's just the concept. It's just the concept, appearing in the present. It's just an understanding to help you recognize that there's no need for any of these silly words. So what does then moksha refer to? It just refers to removing this notion that that me, the present one, will be somehow more present in the future. You understand? It will always be present equally. So in other words, moksha is just dropping this insistent idea, insistent notion that something is going to magically be different in the future. The only thing that's going to be guaranteed, the only guarantee you have, if you think about it, that's going to be in the future is the same present that's here now will be there in the future. Everything, which means what? In other words, you don't need to really do anything. But the only thing and what's going to be different is going to be thoughts in reference to this presence. That's the only thing that's going to be different also. The thoughts in reference to the presence. But look at this. The thoughts are why? Suppose you say right now, I'm not liberated. You're saying that why? Because you're present to that thought. In the future, one says, I am liberated. Why is that the case? Because I am present to that thought. So what's the difference? The thought has changed, the form has changed, but the exact same presence is here now and will be there in the future. So where does this now fear of mortality come from, if you think about it? Fear of that I will die one day. Where does this come from? This means that presence will end somehow. That I will end somehow. In other words, that I will stop being aware of myself. That I will stop being aware of my existence sometime in the future. So whenever this fear pops up, is why? It's because we have not looked into the nature of ourselves. So therefore, when we understand, as we will more and more in this program, this fear of dying, this is just one more change. One more, anitya change amongst many, many, many other changes. So this is, as I said earlier on, what's the direct emotional impact of this knowledge taking place? One has a genuine sense of reassurance, right? Their relationship to things, it changes slowly, and gradually, thought by thought, it changes. It's a private change. It need not be communicated, but it's just a reassurance that you always find in the big picture. And so this is what we mean by little by little, you have this emotional change as this knowledge starts to take place. Yeah. And, okay. We'll finish off with Ananda. So Sat, okay, covered. Chit, covered. And Ananda. So question. So Sat, Chit. Okay. How long and how wide is your awareness? Please measure your awareness. Try to measure your awareness right now. How big? Tell me the size of your awareness. Huh?
Limitless. Infinite.
You know, it's almost like the words, the answer doesn't even matter. Let's ask a negative question. Can you measure your awareness? Can you give your awareness, a certain length, XYZ axis? My awareness goes up to that much, or this much, or that much. Careful, I'm not referring to how far the eye's range extends. I get it. 5 kilometers from now, we cannot see. And therefore, we will say what? Oh, I'm not aware of that. Therefore, what? My awareness is what? Up to 1 kilometer maybe, up to 500 meters. We're not talking about the range of the senses. Because the fact is, if I do move closer to my point of 5 kilometers, then I will be aware of that too. In fact, if your eyes did see 5 kilometers, then guess what? You would be aware of whatever is in 5 kilometers away from now. So we're not talking about the range of the senses. We're just talking about, how big is your awareness? How small is your awareness? Can you measure? It's almost a weird question to say, hey, measure your consciousness, please. Here's a piece of paper. Write down the length and size of your consciousness.
It's dynamic.
Huh?
It's dynamic.
It's what?
It's dynamic.
Dynamic. Yeah, it's just, it's just awareness. Awareness even of the idea of it being dynamic, okay? So, in other words, we cannot measure, what this self-evidencing one. You cannot measure or give yourself any kind of size. You can give your body a size, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about whoever is self-evident, that one, please try to measure them. Completely not possible. Let me try. But what's happening while you're trying? It's nothing but thoughts. Nothing but more thoughts, in the thought knowledge. So it's not even touching, it's got nothing to do with the self-evidencing one. It's all got to do with what? Ruminating a bunch of thoughts of trying to measure awareness. 1 meter, 2 meters, maybe it's infinite. Even the word infinite, what is that? It's just what? It began and that thought ended, right? So what? It has no bearing on awareness. So you cannot measure awareness. So what does the word Ananda mean then? That which has no limit. That which has no what? Spatial limits. That which is spatially not bound.
Not only spatially, also in time.
Yeah, time is sat. Time is sat. I'll cover that now. So in other words, you cannot measure awareness. It has no length, it has no size, and therefore what? It is infinite in all directions, and therefore it is Ananda. It is limitless.
So you don't use the word bliss?
You
don't use the word bliss?
This will be covered soon. What's inside space? This is space right now. Okay. Right now, I want you to analyze this moment. And I want you to also include the person who's analyzing, because we often exclude the body and the mind which is analyzing. So I want you to just look at this place right now and kind of extend your peripheral vision outwards, including your body. I also want you to include your body right now. What is true right now? What is this moment? What does this moment consist of right now? It consists of what? Objects. Okay. And there is a distance between these objects. That distance is what we call space. So what? Both the object and the distance are what? Objects. Objects evidenced to whom? To you. To whomever that is, these things are evidenced, to that one, the objects and the space is being what? Evidenced right now. How far is this right now from that one, whoever is now evident? How far is this now away from that one that is evident right now?
No distance.
So then why do you experience distance? That's just a brain phenomena. Never mind about brain phenomena, what your brain feeds you. My question is, how far is this moment right now away from you?
No.
So what? If objects depend on space, and space depends on you, so by definition, if everything is what? Within space, the whole universe is in space, then what? The whole universe depends on what? On you, the self-evidencing one. Thought depends on the mind. The mind depends on you. How far away are you from the mind? Distance? No distance. So what? Object awareness. Object is, look at this, cup is because of why?
Awareness.
Cup aware. Good. Cup is because of cup awareness. Flower is because of flower awareness. Table is because of table awareness. So what's constant here? Is and awareness. What's changing? Object, object, object. Room is because of room awareness. Space is because of space awareness. Therefore, what does this mean? What are the invariables? The isness and awareness. So now, when you say I am, what are you referring to? You're referring to I, the one that is self-evident, the one that is aware, and am exists. And when you say am, exists. So whenever you say I am, what do you mean when you say I? I. What does that imply, I? What's the first thing? I. Awareness, awareness, like alive. I am. I am what? I am. I exist. So when you say I am, what are you really saying? Sat Chit. I just want to let you know, Sat Chit. Now let's have a conversation about what? Whatever takes place. So in other words, object is because of object awareness. Change is because of change awareness. Body is because of body awareness. Teacher is because of teacher awareness. What is consistent? Is awareness. Sat Chit, Sat Chit, Sat Chit. Nothing is because of nothing? Awareness. So even nothing depends on what? Is and awareness. Deep sleep, where there is absolutely no object, is because of no object awareness. So even absence of objects depend on what? Depend on, they also enjoy what? Existence, and they enjoy awareness. So what are the two commonalities here? Sat and Chit. And this Sat and Chit, what? So this means that your nature is what? Awareness, and this awareness, which is not bound, not spatially limited. That's why I say you cannot measure your awareness. And it what? It is the final self-shining light. Therefore, it is what? It is Chit. And it is independent of all things. It is therefore Satyam. It is Sat. So now, okay? So Sat, Chit, Ananda. Now, Diderik mentioned the word bliss. Why do we use the word bliss? And this will be mentioned when we analyze happiness, and we will see where this word bliss actually has its context, if it even does have any context at all. And why do they say bliss in some texts, and in other texts they will take a different approach, and we will see this, because they both have validity. Okay? So let's analyze this in the next session. Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.